Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. I thought I'd share with you today, on a lazy Sunday afternoon, how to use napkins in card making using a technique of decoupage. Come with me into the kitchen and I'll show you how I did it. The glues I'm going to be using today are Mod Podge and Pinflair book binding glue. And I've decanted them into these small pots, and I buy these in a set of 5. They're 5 travel jars from Primark for £1.50. And the reason that I buy these is because once you decant into them, they've actually got a small clear lid which fits on, and that prevents your glue from drying out. You could put shrink wrap over the top, plastic shrink wrap, but then the jar won't screw on. This stops them from drying out, and all I then need to do is mark it, because the glues look exactly the same once they're in the pots. I'm going to use Mod Podge today, and I recommend this one for doing napkin decoupage because it's not as strong. It won't rip the napkins apart as bookbinding glue would do. And I'm going to use my silicone brush to apply the Mod Podge. Because the cards need to take a lot of glue, I'm going to recommend that you use a really strong cardstock. For this, I'm using Craft UK Limited white hammer cardstock. This is 300 GSM, which is cardboard thickness, really. And I've chosen to use 6x6 size because that's the size, more or less, of my napkins. Now, you could select from your napkins to use a smaller size. Remember that when you do that and apply glue to these cards, they might buckle. So I recommend that you do a test run first. Today, I'm going to use the white hammer cardstock, 6x6, and I'm going to fold it as it's pre-scored. That's my card, and I'm going to change the orientation around so the card will open this way. So I'm making Christmas cards today, and I've got this really jolly Christmas caravan, and I've got some friends that love their caravan holidays, so that's ideal for them. The second design I'm going to use is this one with the Royal Mail postbox. I don't know whether it's got ER on it. It doesn't say, but it's got the robin. It's got 2 dogs. A friend of mine has got a little doggy just like this. Now, there are 4 designs sometimes on the paper napkins. These are 3-ply paper napkins. And if you open them out, you might see that there's a different design. So I've got 2 different designs that I'm going to do in this video today. The card I'm going to demonstrate with has a 4 pattern repeat on the napkin, so it's the same design repeated 4 times. And I'm going to cut across the top and the side with a sharp pair of scissors to get the design that I want. These are 3-ply paper napkins, and I need to separate the top sheet. I only want to use the top sheet from the layers underneath. And to do that, I'm going to go to the top. There are 1, 2 layers, and peel it back. Now, most paper napkins are actually sealed by the manufacturers at the edges here, so you too tend to get a little bit of a pattern there. So I find it's best to start in a top corner and gently work your way down. So these are actually pressed together rather than glued together. And just be gentle. You don't want to damage the sheet. As you get to the edges, can you see that there's a pattern in it? Just pull gently down. I'm going to preserve that tissue for something else. And when I've got down to the bottom, you'll see I've got a clean, very thin, 1 sheet piece ready for decoupage. The design I want is bigger than my card, and when I look at it, I could lose snow and gain more sky. I could gain more snow and lose some sky. I actually want to be able to put a ribbon across the bottom of this. This is beautiful ribbon that I bought at Inspirations Floristry Wholesale on the Wirral a number of years ago. It's velvet ribbon and it does say Merry Christmas on it. If I hold that to the camera, will that just pick up? It says Merry Christmas, so I want to be able to put that across the snow, but I do want to retain some of the sky. So I know I want to keep some of the snow and some of the sky. Now, when I look to the sides, the last thing I want to do is glue it down and gain all the trees and the presents, but lose the deer. What I want to do is move it across to ensure that I preserve the deer in full. And the image that can be cut in half is some of the tree and some of the presents this side. So that's what I'm going to aim for on this card. I can actually see the card through the bottom, and I'm just going to run my finger over the top just to crease the top, so I know where the card to begin at the top. So using Mod Podge, I'm going to apply the glue to the card, not to the napkin. And I'm going to try and get a thin layer across the top. I'm going to start applying this card from the top downwards. I'm not going to apply it all at once. I'm going to more or less roll the napkin down the card. A little bit further down than that. So let's say I'm going to do it in about a quarter or a fifth across. This will dry fairly quickly, and I want a thin layer rather than a thicker layer. I'm just going to move my glue. Then I get my napkin at the point I want to start at the top, and I'm going to hold it so that, very difficult to do this actually, I'm going to hold it so that it grabs at the top. I get that deer image on and just press it very gently. Now this image is such that I've got a little bit of leeway either side. Don't cut your napkin to size first. Cut your napkin to size later. And I'm just very gently pressing that down, trying to get rid of any creases or air bubbles that there might be in the card. I've got a few creases there in the sky. Don't really mind that. It looks like clouds. That's not too bad. At the top, the piece I've folded over can still stay folded over. It hasn't got any glue on it. I'm now going to move that Mod Podge out of the way. I'm now going to fold that card back, and you can see where the glue was grabbed, and I'm going to start applying Mod Podge in, it's about 1.5 inches each time that I'm going from the sides. It's important that you grab your napkin from the sides, just underneath, up to that rolled napkin edge. And then gently roll the napkin forwards. I'm going to do it on its side here, just so I can use my left hand. I'm just going to roll that napkin down very gently so that it grabs. Don't put your fingernails, you'll see I don't have long fingernails. Don't put your fingernails through the napkin. And that Mod Podge has caught that at that point. I'm just going to make sure it lies flat, and I'm going to repeat the process down to the bottom. Right, I've got down to the bottom. I haven't trimmed down the edge first. I just want to show you that even with the 300 GSM cardstock, how much that has bowed the card. So it's important that I leave this to dry. I want to make sure that I don't put anything on the top of this so the Mod Podge doesn't come through and stick to anything else. I'm going to leave it to dry flat, and then I'm going to trim just with a pair of scissors around the edges of the card. And I want to use this 300 GSM cardstock. I want to make it clear that when you use napkins, the colour that you use underneath will be reflected through the card. Now, it might be acceptable here. Let's see what it looks like when I've done it. This is slightly different in lining up this card. I might lose the top of the Christmas tree. I don't want to lose the doggy's legs or the sleigh. That's the main focus. And if I can get most of that lamppost on, that's the most important thing, I think. I can lose this, can't I, at one side. So make sure you line up your image before you start applying any glue, and then you've got an idea of where to place your crease at the top. Sorry, where to place the crease at the top. There, that's glued down, and I'm now just going to leave it to dry flat. You'll notice I haven't cut the edges off yet. On this card, tearing the 3 layers of the tissue apart, I damaged the edge. So I'm going to make sure I don't get that on the card. What I want to make sure, though, is I make sure I get his tail and the base of the feet on. It doesn't matter if I lose some sky on this one, does it? And because I want to capture these in first, I'm going to work from the bottom of the card upwards. So I'm going to turn it upside down. Same principle, but just start from the top then and work down like before. Once you've finished using your glue, don't forget to put the 2 lids back on and then wipe your silicone brush clean of glue. And top, just to get rid of that top layer. That's not very clean, is it? Get rid of that top layer. Then when we get rid of those pieces, we should have a crisp, clean edge. I haven't here, have I? What's happened there? Let's get that little bit of snow. There. Now we've got a clean, crisp edge. Now I'm going to apply a ribbon to this across the bottom. And in order to do that, I want to get the message, Merry Christmas, central. And I'm going to cut then either side here, and I'm going to glue it on the inside. So here we have our finished cards. I've decoupaged the front. I've added a ribbon, which is secured on the inside just with some double-sided tape, neatly. I've taken a sentiment and added it on the inside. I'll show you that in a moment. Happy Holidays seems ideal for that, doesn't it? It's fitting. And then on the back, I just write handmade for you. Might not be able to see it in this one. It's in silver. And for the cream cards, I've used the sentiments from the Phil Martin set in gold. I've used gold on the inside, it was more appropriate, and then on the back I've written handmade for you in gold. And on the last card I made, Joy, I've left it blank because I want to write to my friend and want to leave a big message on the inside of that. Because there's a little bit of bowing of these, before I start writing in them, I'm just going to put them between or underneath a book, just to make sure that they really lie flat. The envelopes that they're going in will help them lie flat. There's not much thickness in there. There's no problem with them going in the post, and I'll add the relevant envelopes to those. Now the sentiments, you see I've used these many times before. They're from Sentimentally Yours range by Phil Martin for creative expressions. And these are the ones I've used in lots of cards. The other one that you haven't seen me use before is this Spellbinders Happy Holidays. It's a beautiful die, cuts brilliantly, and I put it through my little Spellbinders sapphire machine. And what a perfect time to use it at this time of year. So from this, and this to this to this. I'm going to spend the rest of my afternoon now writing out Christmas cards so I can get them in the post for tomorrow. But for now, this is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter, saying bye for now. Come back and see me soon, won't you? Bye.